Hausa kingdoms, traders, scholars, and warriors of West Africa, from the bustling markets of Kano to the legendary walls that once defended mighty city-states. The Hausa kingdoms were the beating heart of West Africa's golden age. Masters of trade, scholarship, and war, these powerful states, Kano, Kachina, Zaria, and more, forged an empire not of conquest, but of commerce and culture. Their leather goods dazzled North Africa, their scholars rivaled Timbuktu, and their warriors dominated the Sahel. Yet beneath their wealth and wisdom simmered rivalries that would shake their very foundations. This is the epic story of the House of the Traders who turned sand into gold, the scribes who penned history in Ajami script, and the kingdoms whose legacy still echoes across Africa today. Welcome to Mr. Africa, where history comes alive. Chapter 1. The origins of the Hausa states the origin story of the Hausa people is steeped in a blend of history and legend. A powerful narrative that ties their 7 original city-states, the Hausa Bakwai, together. According to the foundational myth, the Bayajida legend, a prince from Baghdad named Bayajida journeyed across the Sahara and arrived in the city of Dora. Here, he famously killed a sacred snake, which terrorized the local population and prevented them from drawing water from the town's well. As a reward, he married Queen Magajia Dora Ma, and their union gave birth to the Hausa Bakwai. These 7 city-states, Dora, Kano, Kachina, Zaria, Gobir, Rano, and Biram, were born of this symbolic act of bringing order to chaos, and their shared lineage became the bedrock of a common identity. Unlike the great empires of Mali or Songhai, the Hausa kingdoms were never a centralized empire under a single ruler. Instead, they were fiercely independent city-states, each a sovereign entity with its own king, or sarki, government, and army. This decentralized structure fostered a spirit of intense competition and innovation. They were economic and political rivals, often engaging in wars over trade routes, tribute, and slaves. Yet they were bound by a shared language, the Hausa language, and a growing common faith. This unique blend of rivalry and unity allowed them to thrive for centuries, with each kingdom developing its own unique strengths. The Hausa Bakwai were not the only Hausa-speaking states. There were also the Banza Bakwai, or the 7 illegitimate Hausa states, which included cities like Zamfara and Kebbi, while not part of the legendary lineage. They shared the same culture and were often entangled in the political and economic life of the core kingdoms. This complex network of states, with their shifting alliances and rivalries, created a dynamic political landscape that was both a source of conflict and a driver of progress. The early Hausa states laid the foundation for a civilization that would become one of West Africa's most enduring. It's a testament to the power of a shared language and culture to unite a people despite their political divisions. Chapter 2. The Trans-Saharan trade. By the 11th century, the Hausa city-states had cemented their position as crucial players in the Trans-Saharan trade network. This sprawling commercial highway connected West Africa to the markets of North Africa, Europe, and the Middle East. The Hausa kingdoms were not just participants. They were central hubs of this vast economic engine. They controlled the production and export of goods highly prized in the north, including kola nuts, a powerful stimulant, and leather goods for which they were famous. Their tanneries produced fine leather that was dyed and crafted into everything from footwear to books, with products known and sought after as far as Morocco. The cities of Kano and Kachina emerged as the primary centers of this bustling commerce. Kano in particular was a cosmopolitan powerhouse. Its markets were a vibrant sensory experience, overflowing with goods from across the continent. Caravans arrived from the north, bringing essential imports like salt, which was as valuable as gold, as well as luxury items like horses, weapons, and silks. In return, the Hausa states exported their agricultural and manufactured goods, including intricately woven textiles dyed with the famous indigo from their local farms. The indigo-dyed cloth of Kano became a status symbol throughout the Sahel, a testament to the city's craftsmanship. The economic prosperity of these cities funded a wave of monumental construction. The Kano City Wall, an astonishing feat of engineering, was constructed in the 14th century under the reign of Sarki Agiai. This massive structure, with an estimated height of over 40 feet and a circumference of 14 kilometers, was one of the largest man-made earth structures in Africa. It was built not just for defense, but as a symbol of power and permanence. This urban infrastructure, including grand mosques, royal palaces, and fortified gates, transformed the Hausa cities into centers of culture and sophistication. They were metropolises where diverse populations, including merchants, scholars, and artisans from across the region, lived and worked side by side, creating a rich and cosmopolitan urban culture. Chapter 3. Islam, Scholarship, and Written Culture. The arrival of Islam in the Hausa lands was not a sudden conquest, but a gradual organic process driven by trade and intellectual exchange. By the 14th century, it had become the dominant faith, profoundly transforming Hausa society and culture. With Islam came the Arabic script, adapted by Hausa scholars into Ajami, a system for writing the Hausa language. This innovation unlocked a new era of intellectual and literary flourishing, allowing the Hausa people to record their history, literature, and religious thought. The Hausa kingdoms, particularly Kano and Katsina, quickly became centers of Islamic scholarship that rivaled even the legendary Timbuktu. Scholars from across West Africa traveled to Hausa cities to study in their madrasas, Islamic schools, and consult their vast libraries. These libraries were filled with texts on Islamic jurisprudence, theology, history, astronomy, and medicine. Chitsina, during the reign of Sarki Muhammadu Koro, was particularly renowned as a hub of learning, a place where scholars wrote and debated, where books were meticulously copied by hand. This vibrant intellectual life attracted a diverse community of scholars, turning the Hausa cities into beacons of knowledge in the Sahel. The written culture of the Hausa was not confined to religious texts. Scholars like the famous Wazir Abeda al-Qadiya Dantafa of Kano wrote on a wide range of subjects, from poetry to history and political theory. This intellectual tradition fostered a deep respect for learning, and Hausa rulers often patronized scholars and poets, seeing them as essential to the prestige and governance of their kingdoms. This fusion of Islamic faith and indigenous culture gave rise to a unique and powerful identity, one that was both deeply rooted in African soil and connected to the wider Islamic world. The Hausa kingdoms were not just economic powerhouses. They were intellectual centers that played a vital role in the history of Islamic scholarship in Africa. Chapter 4. Rivalries, Wars, and the Rise of Gobir. Despite their shared cultural identity, the Hausa city-states were far from a peaceful confederacy. The very nature of their political structure, independent kingdoms vying for power and resources, fostered an environment of constant rivalry and warfare. The competition was fierce, with city-states frequently engaging in battles over control of trade routes, access to resources, and the capture of slaves for labor and export. This militarized landscape forced each kingdom to build formidable defenses and maintain a standing army. The city-states' military prowess was centered on their cavalry. The arid savanna landscape was ideal for horse-mounted warfare, and Hausa rulers invested heavily in breeding and training war horses. These cavalry units, clad in padded armor and armed with spears and bows, were the backbone of their armies, capable of swift raids and decisive battles. Fortified city walls like the one in Kano were a direct response to this constant state of conflict, providing a refuge for the population during times of war. Among the Hausa Bakwai, certain kingdoms rose to prominence through military conquest. Gobir, located on the northern frontier, became a particularly powerful and aggressive state. Its position made it a constant defender against incursions from Tuareg and other nomadic groups from the Sahara, which forged its identity as a militaristic kingdom. Gobir's raids for slaves and tribute were a major source of its wealth and power. Similarly, Zatsuzaria, located on the southern fringes, became a key player in the slave trade, capturing captives from non-Muslim groups and selling them to other Hausa states and to trans-Saharan traders. This era of intense rivalry and militarization, while often brutal, was also a period of innovation and political development. It forced Hausa rulers to become skilled diplomats, forging and breaking alliances to gain an advantage. It also created a resilient and politically savvy population that was accustomed to the realities of power and conflict. However, this same environment of internecine, warfare, and the focus on material wealth at the expense of religious piety would become a source of profound internal dissent, setting the stage for a revolution that would topple the very kingdoms that had defined the Hausa world for centuries. Chapter 5. The fall of the Hausa states. The early 19th century witnessed a cataclysmic event that would reshape the history of West Africa, the Fulani Jihad. This was a religious and social revolution led by a renowned Islamic scholar, Usman Danfodio, who was himself a member of the nomadic Fulani ethnic group living within the Hausa lands. Danfodio and his followers were deeply critical of the Hausa rulers, whom they accused of corruption, tyranny, and practicing a syncretic, impure form of Islam. They argued that the Hausa kings were more concerned with wealth and power than with the welfare of their Muslim subjects, that their policies, particularly the practice of enslaving fellow Muslims, were a gross violation of Islamic law. The revolution began in 1804 when Usman Danfodio, after being threatened by the king of Gobir, declared a jihad, or a holy war, against the Hausa rulers. He and his followers, known as the Jama, launched a series of military campaigns that quickly gained momentum. His message resonated with a diverse cross-section of society. The oppressed Hausa peasants were tired of heavy taxation. The Fulani cattle herders who resented the Hausa elite, and pious Muslim scholars who were disillusioned with the moral decay of the ruling class. The revolution was not just a military conquest, it was a popular uprising fueled by a desire for justice and religious reform. The Hausa kingdoms, weakened by centuries of infighting and unprepared for a unified, religiously motivated army, fell one by one. The city-state of Gobir, Danfodio's first target, was conquered. Soon after, the powerful cities of Kano, Kachina, and Zaria were overthrown. The Hausa rulers were replaced by new leaders, often Danfodio's Fulani students and generals, who were given flags to govern the newly established territories. The result was the creation of the Sokoto Caliphate, a massive and powerful Islamic state that by the mid-19th century had become the largest in all of Africa.
While the old Hausa kingdoms were destroyed, their culture and identity were not. The revolution was not a total ethnic cleansing, it was a political and religious takeover.
Many Hausa people, including scholars and merchants, embraced the new order. The Fulani rulers adopted the Hausa language and cultural practices, and the Hausa people continued to be the dominant population in the new caliphate. The Fulani Jihad, though it ended the Hausa kingdoms, ensured the endurance of Hausa culture, language, and influence for generations to come. Chapter 6. The Hausa legacy across Africa. The legacy of the Hausa kingdoms is a testament to the resilience and adaptability of their people. Though the ancient city-states were replaced by the Sokoto Caliphate and later by colonial rule, the Hausa people, culture, and language continued to thrive. Today, the Hausa are the largest ethnic group in West Africa, the population of over 80 million speakers spread across northern Nigeria, Niger, Ghana, Cameroon, and many other parts of the continent. Their historical role as traders and scholars gave them a unique ability to migrate and integrate into new communities, spreading their culture far and wide. The Hausa language is one of the most widely spoken languages in Africa, serving as a lingua franca for millions of people across the Sahel region. Its influence is a direct result of centuries of trade and migration, with Hausa traders carrying their language, culture, and faith to every corner of the continent. The language itself is a rich and expressive one, with a vast body of literature, poetry, and proverbs that continue to be studied and celebrated today. The cultural impact of the Hausa is equally profound. Their traditions, from dress and cuisine to music and art, have been adopted and celebrated by neighboring groups. The Hausa musical traditions, with their use of instruments like the talking drum kalanu and the flute sarua, are a vital part of West African music. In Nigeria, the Hausa film industry, affectionately known as Kannywood, a portmanteau of Kano and Hollywood, is a major cultural force, producing movies and television shows that are watched by millions across West Africa and the diaspora. Perhaps the most significant aspect of their legacy is their role in the spread of Islam across the continent. Hausa traders and scholars were key to the Islamization of many parts of West Africa, bringing not only faith, but also a rich tradition of scholarship and religious jurisprudence. The Islamic institutions they helped establish continue to be a source of intellectual and spiritual guidance. Today, many Hausa elites hold positions of immense political and economic power in Nigeria and other African nations. ensuring that the legacy of their ancient kingdoms remains a vital part of the continent, its present and future. Chapter 7. Modern Hausa Identity. The modern Hausa identity is a rich tapestry woven from the threads of ancient kingdoms, religious revolution, and a legacy of trade and migration. It is an identity forged in the crucible of history, shaped by the rise and fall of empires, and defined by an unwavering resilience. In today's northern Nigeria, the Hausa people are a dominant political and cultural force. Their traditions and values deeply integrated into the fabric of the nation. The historical city of Kano, once the heart of a powerful city-state, is now a bustling metropolis and the economic center of northern Nigeria, a testament to the enduring power of its commercial heritage. The legacy of the Hausa kingdoms is also visible in their continued intellectual and religious tradition. While the ancient libraries of Kano and Katsina have given way to modern universities, the Hausa people remain a people of scholarship and faith. Islamic learning is still highly valued, and Hausa scholars continue to play a vital role in shaping religious and political discourse. This intellectual heritage is a direct continuation of the golden age of scholarship that defined the Hausa kingdoms centuries ago. Perhaps the most compelling aspect of the modern Hausa identity is its resilience. Through the rise of the Fulani Jihad, the imposition of British colonial rule, and the challenges of post-colonial nation-building, the Hausa people have adapted and thrived. Their language, culture, and faith have not been erased. They have been preserved and in many cases strengthened. The Hausa people have produced leaders, artists, and innovators who have left an indelible mark on Africa. From the vibrant markets of Kano to the dusty caravan trails of the Sahel, the story of the Hausa is one of an enduring civilization. They were not a fleeting empire, but a resilient people who built a legacy that would outlast the rise and fall of kingdoms. The Hausa kingdoms may be gone, but their spirit lives on in the language spoken by millions. The faith that guides a continent, and the proud, vibrant culture that continues to shape the story of Africa. Chapter 8. Social structure. The social and political structure of the Hausa kingdoms was a sophisticated and highly stratified system, direct reflection of their economic and intellectual power. At the pinnacle of society was the Sarki, or king, who was not only the political and military leader, but also the religious head of the state. The Sarki ruled from a fortified palace in the heart of the city-state, surrounded by a complex court of officials and advisors. These officials held specific titles and roles, forming a bureaucracy that governed the kingdom with remarkable efficiency. Key positions included the Galadima, the head of the administration, the Waziri, the prime minister and chief advisor to the king, and the Madaki, the commander of the cavalry. This elaborate system of governance ensured the smooth running of the city-states, from tax collection to the administration of justice. Below the royal court was a distinct hierarchy of social classes. The nobility, comprised of the king's family and the heads of prominent families, held significant power and wealth. They were landowners and often commanded their own military units, forming a crucial power base for the king. Following the nobility were the religious and intellectual elites, the ulama and scholars who, with the spread of Islam, gained immense prestige and influence. They served as judges, teachers, and royal advisors, and their opinions on legal and religious matters were highly respected. This class, which included poets and historians, played a vital role in shaping the cultural and intellectual life of the kingdoms. The majority of the population consisted of commoners, including farmers, artisans, and traders. These were the economic backbone of the city-states, producing the food and goods that fueled the trans-Saharan trade. Hausa society also had a significant slave population, which was a result of both warfare and the trade routes. Slaves performed a variety of tasks, from agricultural labor to working in the royal court, and in some cases, they could gain a degree of social mobility. The social structure, with its clear hierarchy and specialized roles, was a key factor in the stability and longevity of the Hausa kingdoms, allowing them to effectively manage their vast resources and complex urban centers. Chapter 9. Arts, Architecture, and Culture. The Hausa kingdoms were not only economic and military powerhouses, but also centers of a rich and vibrant culture. Their artistic and architectural achievements were a direct reflection of their prosperity and their unique blend of indigenous traditions and Islamic influences. The most visible manifestation of their culture was in their architecture. Hausa cities were characterized by their towering mud walls, which were not just defensive structures but also symbols of power and permanence. Inside these walls, a distinctive architectural style flourished, with palaces, mosques, and homes built from sun-dried mud bricks or bertali. These buildings were often decorated with intricate geometric patterns and calligraphy, a testament to the influence of Islam and the skill of local artisans. The grand mud brick mosques, with their distinctive minarets and expansive courtyards, were central to the life of the cities. Hausa artistry extended far beyond architecture. The people were renowned for their craftsmanship, particularly in leatherwork and textile production. Their tanneries produced some of the finest leather in West Africa, which was dyed with vibrant colors and crafted into intricate goods, from saddles and bags to footwear. This leather, known as Morocco leather, became famous in Europe after being traded across the Sahara and through North African ports. The Hausa were also masters of textile dyeing, especially with indigo, a natural dye produced from local plants. The deep blue, almost black cloths they created were prized across the continent and beyond. The Hausa were famous for their elaborate embroidery and weaving techniques. Music and oral traditions were also central to Hausa culture. The talking drum kalanu, a traditional hourglass-shaped drum, was a key part of court ceremonies and social gatherings used to praise kings and recite poetry. Griot singers, or Maroka, served as court historians and poets, preserving the history and genealogy of the Hausa people through song and oral recitation. Their stories and praise songs celebrated the valor of warriors, the wisdom of kings, and the piety of scholars. This rich oral tradition, combined with the written culture that developed with the advent of Ajami, ensured that the Hausa identity and history were passed down through generations, creating a powerful cultural continuity that has endured to this day. Chapter 10. The Hausa Diaspora. The legacy of the Hausa kingdoms is not confined to the borders of modern-day Nigeria and Niger. Their history as a people of trade and migration has led to a vast Hausa diaspora that has had a profound impact across the African continent and beyond. For centuries, Hausa merchants and scholars traveled far from their homelands, establishing trading communities and cultural enclaves in places like Ghana, Cameroon, and Sudan. These communities, often known as Zongos, served as vital nodes in a wider network of trade and communication, spreading the Hausa language, culture, and, most importantly, the Islamic faith. The influence of the Hausa diaspora is evident in the linguistic and cultural landscape of many African nations. The Hausa language is widely spoken as a lingua franca in many parts of West Africa. A direct result of their historical role as merchants and travelers, this widespread use of their language has made it a powerful tool for communication and a vehicle for cultural exchange. In Ghana, for example, the Hausa community has a long and storied history. With many of the first Muslims in the country being Hausa traders, their influence on Ghanaian culture, particularly in cuisine and dress, is still visible today. In the modern era, the Hausa legacy continues to shape the political and economic landscape of Africa. In Nigeria, the Hausa, along with the Fulani, form a powerful and influential political bloc. Many of Nigeria's leaders, including presidents and military generals, have come from this group, ensuring that their perspective and interests are central to national governance. The economic engine of northern Nigeria, centered around cities like Kano, continues to be driven by Hausa commerce and entrepreneurship, a modern continuation of their ancient trading traditions. The cultural impact of the Hausa is also growing on a global scale. The Hausa film industry, Kannywood, has become a major cultural force, producing movies and music that are watched and enjoyed by millions of people across Africa and the diaspora. The unique blend of Islamic themes, traditional folklore, and modern storytelling in these films has given Hausa culture a new dynamic platform. The Hausa people today are a testament to the enduring power of a civilization that, despite the fall of its kingdoms, has maintained its identity, spread its influence, and remains a vital part of the African story. The Hausa kingdoms may have fallen to the Fulani jihad, but their spirit was never broken. Today, over 80 million people speak Hausa, Their blue-dyed textiles still adorn markets, and their stories light up screens from Cannywood to the world. They remind us that empires aren't just built on armies, but on the ink of scholars, the looms of artisans, and the songs of griots that outlast kings. If this journey through Africa's mercantile giants left you inspired, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join me as we unravel another chapter of our continent's glory. Drop a comment below. Which legendary African traders should we explore next? Until then, keep history alive. This is Mr. Africa signing off.